Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Tajan Code, your one-stop channel for mastering Java from scratch. Today we're going to learn one of the most important concepts, variables and methods in Java. And we'll be doing it with real-time examples you can relate to. So grab your coffee and let's start coding. Okay, let's move on to the video. So what is variable? Think of a variable as a container that holds data like a box where you store your chocolate or a bank locker with your money. Just like that, in Java, a variable holds values like numbers, text, or characters that your program can use. For example, I'll declare a variable of int data type called age and I'll assign the value 25 to it. Let's write int age equals to 25. In the next line, I'll declare another variable of string data type called name and I'll assign a string called Taj. Let's write string name that equals to Taj. And in the next line, I'll declare one more variable of double data type and name it as salary. And I'll assign the value 45,678.90 to it. Here we have an integer for age, a string for name, and a double for salary. Just like you introduce yourself, your program needs to introduce its variables. Now let's start with a real-time example. Imagine you're designing a student information system. For this, I need to create a class called student, and in the next line, main method. Inside the main method, I'll declare a variable of string data type and I'll name it as student name. I'll assign the string called Anita. In the next line, I'll declare another variable of int data type called roll number and I'll assign the value 101 to it. And in the next line, I'll declare one more variable of float data type called marks and I'll assign the value 87.5f to it. In Java, whenever you type a decimal number like 3.14 or some other value, Java thinks it's a double by default because it's a 64-bit number. But float is only 32-bit. So if you try to assign 3.14 directly to your float variable, Java gets confused and throws a compile time error. To solve this, you simply add an f at the end of the value. Float marks equals to 87.f. Now I'll create a print statement in the next line. Since we have three variables, I need to create three print statements. However, you can create three variables by writing only one print statement. Not to worry about that, you'll learn it in the upcoming videos. In the first printing statement, I'll give name, for second roll number, and for last marks. Now we just learned how to build a simple student profile using variables. Easy, right? Yes. Okay, let's move forward and learn about methods. So what is method? Method is a block of code that do specific tasks like your washing machine button that washes clothes when pressed. In the same way, in Java, we write methods to reuse the code and organize logic. For example, I'll create a method called greet and in the print statement, I'll write welcome to Tajan code. Whenever we call the greet method, it prints our message. No copy pasting needed. Now let's build a billing system method that calculates total cost with tax. Firstly, I'll create a class called billing. Next, I'll define a method named calculateTotal. Inside the method, I'll pass two arguments, price and tax, both of type double. Since the method's return type is double, I need to return a value from it. If I had used void as a return type, then I don't need to return any value. Now I'll write price plus price into tax. This line returns the total cost after adding tax to the original price. And next, I'll create a main method and inside the main method, I'll declare a variable of double data type. And I'll name this variable as total. For this total variable, I'll write a calculate total 500, 0.18. Here, the calculate total is a method that calculates the total price with tax and returns a double value in decimal format. That result is stored in the variable total. In the next line, I'll write a print statement, and inside that, I'll write a string called total bill. Outside the string, plus operator space total variable. This line prints a message to the console that shows the total bill amount. Now we just learned how to write a program by creating method. Now let's move forward and combine everything in a mini project called a login system. First of all, let's create a class called login system. Inside the class, I'll save the correct username and password. These are stored as static variables, so I can use them in my static methods. Here, save username is set to admin and save password is set to 1234. Next, I'm writing a method called login. It takes two inputs, one for username and one for password. The method will return true if both are correct, otherwise false. So I'll use the return type as boolean. Next, I'll return the value by writing user.equals of saved username, logical and operator, pass.equals of saved password. This line checks if the entered username and password are the same as the saved ones. User.equals of saved username checks for the username and pass.equals of the saved password checks for the password. If both matches, the method returns true, otherwise it returns false. Next, I'll create a main method. Inside the main method, I'll call the login method. I'll pass in the username and password, which are admin and 1234. The result is stored in a variable called isLoggedIn. It will be true if the login is correct. And next, I'll create if else block to check if isLoggedIn variable is true. If it is true, that means the user gave the correct username and password. So I print login successful. Otherwise, I print access denied. Now, we just learned how to apply variables and methods in real-time examples. This is a basic example of how methods and conditions are used in real-time applications like login systems. If you understood variables and methods better, hit that like button and subscribe to Taj & Code. Drop a comment with your own real-time program ideas and I'll feature the best one in my next video. Until then, keep coding and stay awesome. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.